Ladies and gentlemen and Patreon subscribers, welcome to the Unsanctioned Pro podcast. My name is Scott Cerruti. Joining me, as always, Derek, the man behind Unsanctioned.
How's it going, guys?
Our producer, Leon, is with us again.
Howdy, folks.
And joining us for this episode, our special guest is the one, the only, Lord Crewe. Welcome, Lord Crewe. How are you this evening?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. We have a lot to get to. We've got some Patreon fan questions for Lord Crewe later in the episode. But first, I think we need to address June 18th, Columbus, Ohio. 3 shows under one bill. Man, I'm excited. OWA Paradigm Pro Wrestling and Unsanctioned Pro returning home to Columbus. Everybody's bringing the thunder for this show. This series of shows, I should say. Just looking through, I mean, OWA, Shane Taylor versus AC Mack. We've got O'Shea Edwards and Darius Lockhart. Main event versus Soldiers of Savagery. Anthony Bennett versus Eli Isom. Jordan Blade versus Ashton Starr. Tony Johnson versus Ryan Rembrandt. I mean, top to bottom, that's a terrifyingly good card. And following that up, Paradigm Pro Wrestling, where we'll see Billy Dixon versus the Hoodfoot, Shug D versus Myron Reed, the Awesome Odyssey, we know those boys, versus the Rejects, we know those boys too. Isaiah Broner versus Calvin Tankman, Jaden versus Cole Radrick, Don't Die Miles versus Bobby Beverly versus Alex Kane versus Marion Fontaine, and Eli Knight versus Chase Holiday versus Christian Robinson. Good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, both of those cards are super duper stacked. We didn't want to just be like, oh, by the way, there's 2 other shows. So, if you're familiar with indie wrestling, you're probably going to recognize a lot of those names. Shane Taylor Promotions out of Ring of Honor, heavily represented with the OWA card, Good Trouble Volume 2, which is a all-black talent show, which I think is awesome. And then, of course, Paradigm Pro, those guys are somebody that we've kind of made friends with down in the Southern Indiana region. And now that we are joining up with them and OWA to kind of welcome them into the Columbus area. So if you're in the general vicinity of Columbus, definitely suggest you grab some tickets to this, because for $30 general admission for the tickets that are remaining, I dare you to find a better, longer, more stacked wrestling show.
Very true. We're starting at 7 p.m. and then Paradigm is starting at 9, and then Unsanctioned closes the motherfucker down. 11:10 is our start time, I believe.
Yeah, so I think we're looking at being done around 1 a.m. or something. So it's literally going to be an all-night thing.
Oof.
Unsanctioned Pro late night.
He said, "Oof." Looking forward to that one there.
Yeah, you rattled off a lot of really good matches for the other 2 shows that are a part of this, and one of them in particular that I'm looking forward to watching is Jordan Blade and Ashton Starr. I think that's going to be a banger. Absolute banger.
Yeah, I feel like Jordan Blade kind of came out of nowhere in the last, was it 6-7 months? Maybe with the Paradigm appearances?
Yeah.
Just kind of out of nowhere, and I'm a big fan of the style too.
My first time seeing Jordan Blade was against Janai Kai. That was my first time seeing both of them, and I was super impressed with both of their work. And yeah, I'm really excited for that one. So
yeah, and then the Broner and Tankman match on the Paradigm card.
Oh yeah,
oh god,
yeah.
Dumb, silly.
Tankman, that's one of those dudes who's kind of eluded me. We've always wrestled in the same area, but we've never wrestled each other.
Well, maybe hang on to that for the fan question section, because I think there's going to be some questions along that vein later in the episode.
Cool. All right, I'll keep my mouth shut then.
Minor spoiler alert.
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned, that was the Ohio Wrestling Alliance and Paradigm Pro Wrestling cards, because we are presenting a Triple Threat Super Show, meaning 1 ticket gets you 3 shows. Speaking of those 3 shows, the 11:10 section of it is going to be Unsanctioned Pro 12, if you know, you know. And obviously, we've got to have a scramble. So, Scott, do you want to run down the 5 announced participants for the scramble?
Yeah, well, let's start with the debuts. We've got Jeffrey John and Janai Kai, as we just mentioned. already that's 2 wild cards off the top. And then I'd say 3 fan favorites. One certainly a newer fan favorite, Charlie Tiger. Definitely got his share of some followers post WrestleMania week within Unsanctioned Pro. Levi Everett, former competitor for the World Heavyweight Championship, one of my favorite matches in Unsanctioned history, mind you. And another person making their return, Terrell Kenneth, Big TK, and he's definitely here to make a statement. He's been a day one person who hasn't been around for a little bit given the state of the world recently, and now that he's back, he definitely is going to have something to say about his position in the company.
Yeah, and as far as that last spot in the scramble, we really haven't announced it yet as of this recording, because we're going to try and get this out obviously with a little bit of time before the episode, but by the time this comes out, it'll probably be public knowledge. So speaking of the last spot in the scramble, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be public knowledge that is actually going to current reigning H2O tag team champion Christian Ross, who normally tags with Chris Bradley. And we are going to be giving him an opportunity in the scramble. And I believe this is probably his first time in the Midwest. Would that be right, Scott?
But yeah, I think that has potential to be really, really good. And I mean, like, that's how I made my debut at Unsanctioned, was I came in and did one of the scrambles, and luckily for me, I've been a mainstay ever since. So I definitely think it's a good way for some of these first timers at Unsanctioned to kind of earn their spot.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
It's like the gatekeep match. It's the can you stack up to this at least?
I tell you what, though, don't sleep on TK. I think he's going to be coming back with a vengeance.
Oh, I agree. 100%. I 100% agree with that. Let's talk about the terrifying nightmare that's going to be happening in the streets of Columbus between Big Beef and Casanova Valentine.
Oh, boy.
Because, dear Lord, Beef is terrifying me.
Is he a serial killer, maybe?
Listen, I posted about it on social media, and I kind of like broke the fourth wall, but I feel like I'm amongst friends here. Dude, the email that I got about using an old promo picture of Big Beef and not using the current one, because I mean, they sent it to me. I used the wrong one, and it was just a really weird email. Like, I don't even feel comfortable sharing it with people. So, I don't know what the fuck's going on with Beef, but he's
eaten too many of them damn gargantuans from Jimmy John's, and
is that what it is?
I think it's all that.
Oh
meat.
God!
It's all just that meat going to his brain.
Man, that's what it is. He needs that Jimmy John sponsorship.
That's it, man. He needs to be the new Brock Lesnar. That's it. Beef has to fight Brock Lesnar for his Jimmy John sponsorship.
No, but like complete seriousness, Casanova and Big Beef, Beef the Freak, Gnarls Garvin, whatever you want to call him, that's going to be nuts. As it says on the graphic, is it a wrestling match? Is it a hoss battle? Is it a bar fight? It's probably going to be a combination of the three.
I was going to say it might just be D, all of the above.
Right.
Yeah, because I've had the pleasure of fighting both of those gentlemen, and they both are very hard hitting. Just brutal bastards, and I think it's like you said, it's going to be an all-out slobber knocker, as they've been referred to as in the past.
Let's keep this rolling. Battle of the Super Juniors vibes is super accurate. Big Breakfast Jordan Oliver versus Prince of Sport Lexus Montez. A little bit of Mania week coming home with us.
Yeah, definitely.
This match is going to be hard hitting and high flying and fast and all gas from the word go.
I'm super stoked for this match. I mean, I really wanted it to go down WrestleMania weekend. Obviously, with the way things worked out, Jordan wasn't able to compete. But to be honest, that might have been a blessing in disguise, because now we get to have this match in Columbus in front of the Columbus fans instead of everybody who's been there from the start watching it at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Plus, that gave Charlie Tiger an opportunity to shine. So look at him now. He's back in the fold.
For sure.
Yeah, man. Shout out to one of my day ones, Lexus Montez.
Hell yeah. Lex is super underrated. Super underrated.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to that match. And then, of course, after that, we do have the MidwestTerritory.com championship chain on the line, which is actually, you know, a chain championship, however you want to call it, that's typically in Paradigm Pro Wrestling, but, you know, in the interest of the Super Show, have a little bit of cross-company synergy here. Figured we would showcase this match because we were super impressed with Yoya's showing in the Scramble in Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, he's going to be taking on Freddie Hudson, and that match will be, again, very quick, very technical, and it'll be one of those contests where if you blink, you might miss something. And that's one of my favorite kinds of matches.
Shooter waiting the shooter.
And then the next match, coincidentally enough, Scott, number one contender for the Unsanctioned Pro Championship.
Lord Crewe will be taking on the king of Wreckshit Mountain, Cole Radrick.
Oh, yeah. I think Crewe might have an opinion or two about this. How are you feeling?
Man, I feel great. I feel like I've definitely busted my ass to earn a number one contendership for the Unsanctioned Pro Heavyweight title. And I got to say, man, Cole's one of those dudes who I have a ton of respect for from our time at Rockstar Pro. You know, we've become pretty good friends. And like I said, I've loved seeing him climb and finally get his due on the independent scene, you know, doing stuff with GCW and all that. But this is my opportunity to show what the fuck I'm about. And I love you, Cole, but when that bell rings, man, there's not going to be any love lost. I'm going to have to slap you around. I'm going to have to beat you, and I'm going to have to take that fight to whoever wins the heavyweight title match, whether it be Everett Cross or Aaron Williams. And again, Aaron, another guy I love to death, but when it comes down to business, business is business.
Yeah, that's a respectable opinion. I mean, Cole's definitely earned his spot too. Like you said, he's had a lot of momentum lately as well, and going into everything, you know, as the guy who's putting these shows together and putting guys in a position to even contend to fight for the title, it's really interesting to see who connects with the fans and who puts in the work. And you and Cole both, coincidentally, are guys who put in the work, connect with the fans. So it'll be really interesting to see who ends up winning that contest and taking on the champion.
Yeah, like I love you, Cole, but I'm gonna have to whoop your ass. Bad dudes.
Bad dudes. So that basically sums up the card. As far as the card itself, Scott, do you have any other thoughts? Anything you wanted to touch on?
Say we didn't really dive too deep into the actual heavyweight championship match.
Everett Cross versus Aaron Williams.
Man.
Finally.
Yeah, this is a match that we've tried to book for, man,
a year and a half.
A year and a half now.
Yeah, I was gonna say a year and a half.
I think 4 shows, right? Unsanctioned 8.
It was supposed to happen at 8. It was supposed to happen at Tampa. So this would be the third time because it didn't work out for Indiana. It didn't work out for. There was supposed to be a show in November that it didn't work out for before that was even announced. Yeah, there was a bunch of opportunities that we were trying to get it to happen, and either through scheduling or COVID canceling shows or any other myriad of things that's had to get rescheduled. So we're about a year and a half removed from the original situation where Aaron Williams, it felt like he wasn't getting his respect, and he kind of showed up, made a point of kind of making his name by setting an example with Everett Cross's ankle. So you got a guy who's been around, he's talented, everybody knows it, but he's got a chip on his shoulder versus a guy who feels like he was kind of ambushed out of nowhere and is just trying to defend himself against, like I said, a wily veteran who's got all the tricks up his sleeve.
Aaron's a legitimate psychopath. Like, let's not put that past him, man. The dude is he definitely gives off like Roadhouse vibes. You know what I mean? Like, Aaron's one of those dudes that he's one of the quiet ones that you really need to worry about. Like, you know, it's always the people who are the loudest who are typically, you know, not really about that life. It's always the quiet ones you need to worry about. And yeah, and that's Aaron Williams in a nutshell.
I mean, think about what he did at Unsanctioned Pro 8. The man literally sat at commentary next to you, Scott, for how many matches, and just sat there and casually talked about wrestling, and he was just happy to be there and talking about the action going on in the ring. And he kind of, you know, he might have grumbled once or twice about why he wasn't on the show, but he just seemed like he was happy to be there. Yeah. And, you know, out of nowhere, he slides in a ski mask in the chair, and next thing you know, the champion's limping out. So hopefully these guys can work it out.
Granted, he wore a ski mask, but how many other fools you know are showing up in shirt and tie? You didn't fool me. You didn't fool me, Aaron Williams. You didn't fool me.
Was that some type of Cincinnati inside job there?
I don't know what you're talking about. I plead the fifth.
Are you implying a Cincinnati screw job, sir?
Dude, we're already screwed having to live in Cincinnati.
Hey, man, we got to have some home state pride. We can't just be in here like, we love Ohio. Home sucks. Home is the worst. Nah, we got a lot of love for Ohio, but sometimes the people around us, drive you up a wall.
All right, people. It's everyone's favorite podcast producer, Leon here, with what is sure to be a very popular and now reoccurring segment. It's the Patreon questions. Starting off for Lord Crewe, we have Tracy who wants to know, Crewe, what is your favorite deathmatch weapon? And as a spinoff, what's your favorite wrestling weapon in general?
Ooh, my favorite. So does this mean like one for me to use or just one in general? Because, well, I guess it would have to be one for me to use because I don't really like getting hit with any of them. So, man, favorite weapon to use? That's kind of tough because, like, realistically, I just like anything that's simple and effective. Anything that's going to inflict pain onto my opponent and to get me one step closer to victory is always a good move in my book. But I'm honestly kind of a fan of the tack bats. I don't know what it is about them. I just think they're funny. Just having like a little wiffle ball bat, but just covered in tacks.
It looks so innocent, right?
It looks so innocent, but it's so lethal.
Yeah, we definitely saw that at Hardcore Cup, right?
And I think that's what I love about them so much. It's just something so small and cute is just so vicious and disgusting. But don't make it a gusset bat. Fuck that.
No.
I'm good on that.
Nay.
Yeah, and it's funny, they do kind of look innocent on TV, but then when you see them up close, you're just like, Jesus, that's terrifying.
Oh my God, dude. Like, this might venture off the question just a little bit, but you ever seen some of the shit that people come up with for these fans bring the weapons matches?
Yeah.
Dude, so that was like, we had one of those down at Double Death. Otis Koger and I, we had a match against Eric Ryan and Atticus. And it was a fans bring the weapons match. Some dude tweeted at us and said, "Oh, I have an old axe that I'll bring." Like a fucking axe? Like, think about using an axe?
Oh, come on, dude. Don't be a pussy.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Man, Spider Boudreaux wouldn't
Here, dude, I'm gonna bring a 9mm. Just, I'll slide that into you. Like, what the hell?
I've been there when that's happened.
Well, I mean, with that caliber, if you shoot in the right spot, it won't have any permanent damage.
If you notice, he shot below the waist, which technically is an attempted murder.
Hashtag shotgun full of rock salt.
Well, speaking of weapons, Dom Fisher, a.k.a. Young Custodian, would like to know, how many fans have you hit just in general in your career?
I think there is a whopping total of 1, and that is him with a kendo stick.
And as a follow-up, Dom would like to know, why do you enjoy hitting him so much?
Well, here's the thing: is sometimes fans get some liquid courage in them and ask us to do things, and I've seen fans who ask wrestlers to chop them as hard as they can, and I'm pretty sure I watched a man's soul exit his body via Jeff Cobb once. That was like terrifying. I was like,
I was kid in Dayton.
Yeah, I don't know that he's really a kid, but he's like,
Whoa.
Yeah, but he's a dude in Dayton. But yeah, dude, Jeff Cobb slapped the soul out of that fool one night, and I thought he was gonna have to like get carried out. But I don't know, man. Like, yeah, Dom, love you, man, but stop asking me to hit you with stuff.
Dom, I love you, man. Please don't.
Only Unsanctioned Pro would have the fans that show up and they hand you the Singapore cane and go, "Would you do me the honor?"
Please, sir.
Cool. So our next question comes to us from Will. Also goes by Weapon X with a 3 and a 4.
Yeah, Will's actually one of the sponsors for the show. I was going to mention that before we wrapped up, but if you go to twitch.tv/W34PONX, Weapon X with 34 for the E and the A, our buddy Will does these really cool streams over there called the Co-Host Wrestling Show. He does like wrestler interviews, he does merch giveaways. You can actually be in the live chat and do like an interactive chat with the wrestler while they're being interviewed. So definitely check that out.
Rock on, Will. Weapon X. Crew Weapon X would like to know, who on the Unsanctioned Pro roster would you like to wrestle that you've never wrestled before?
On the Unsanctioned Pro roster,
And I guess that would just be like loosely anybody you've seen us use, you know.
Yeah, that's like kind of trying to think, like, who have I seen at? Oh, I mean, Tankman would be. You've used Tankman, yeah?
Yeah, we had Tankman and Mercer in Indiana.
Yeah, actually, okay, there's two, actually. I've never wrestled either of those dudes. And somehow we've lived in the same area, have wrestled on a ton of the same shows for years, and have never stood across the ring from each other. So those are a couple guys. And you've used Matt Justice in the past, right?
Yeah, we used to have Matt on the shows quite a bit from like...
oh, no, like, you know what? I'm going to go with Manser on this one, because I haven't seen Manser there in a while, but I know you've used him.
Yeah, This is true.
Yeah. Yeah, so Manser would be another one I'd like to lock horns with.
Yeah, I think all of our listeners would unanimously agree that all three of those wrestlers' matchups would be fucking sick. Dom Fisher, once again, young custodian, would like to know, who do you consider to be vastly underrated, and who do you consider to be overrated? I think he's asking to bury some guys.
Oh, that's
the overrated.
Hold
that's
on.
a hard one.
So underrated guys. I know we kind of touched on this earlier, but I think Lexus Montez is grossly underrated. I think that dude is so good. Him and I trained together. Like I said, he's one of my day ones. Like, I think we started training within like a month of each other or something like that. And, coming up together and just seeing how quickly he progressed and how good he got so quick. I think he's one of those guys who should be getting booked all over the place. And then like another one, I think Aaron Williams is grossly underrated. I don't understand how he hasn't made a shit ton of money in wrestling. I mean, he's just one of those dudes who can pull a good match out of literally anyone. I do not understand how he hasn't been a staple at some company like on national television for 10 years.
Hard agree.
And another guy who I'm going to throw into this category also is Dayton's Nate Wings. I think Nate is super, super talented. He's like a cruiserweight type. He's probably only like 5'1", 5'2", but the dude just does some out of this world cool shit. And I mean, the dude, he's just a super positive person. He's just a pleasure to be around. And I think he's another one of those guys who's kind of been overlooked for too long. Now, as far as guys who I think are overrated, there are several, but I'm not going to mention any names because I am not going to bury myself or get heat with anybody. So there
nice
definitely,
try, Dom.
Yeah, there's definitely a few people out there right now who I think are dumb overrated, but I'm just going to keep it at that.
Yes, wise words from a presumably wise man who has a very large beard. I believe that's the indicator. JLW the Jobber asks, dream match with anyone, dead or alive, and what would the match stipulation be?
Dead or alive, I would say Bruiser Brody would be my dream match. And I would like to do like a Falls Count Anywhere. Because like if you look back at some of the old Japanese stuff where he would like, go out into the crowd and they would just run in fear. And like just to have that type of a vibe in that match, like in a Falls Count Anywhere where you're out in the mix of it all and you're just seeing the people run away from him in fear. I just think that would be so sick. And I'm such a huge fan of the way that guy wrestled and just the overall presence that he had. Like I would say that would be my live or dead dream match.
Hell yeah.
Yes, a legendary man in stature. Bruiser Brody, tremendous answer. I think we'd all love to see that match. Brian Collar wants to know, or rather states, I have a feeling there is unfinished business with PB Smooth. Then he asks, your thoughts on a potential rubber match?
I'm gonna before I answer that though, I am gonna throw one more thing out on that last question. My other dream match of someone living would be Tommy End. So I'll just leave that at that. As far as the PB Smooth thing, so we're 1-1. I mean, I think that speaks for itself. You know, PB is one of those guys who is another guy who I think is a little on the underrated side. Like, I feel like he should be getting way more than he is right now. I mean, the dude's 6'9", giant human being. He does a lot of good shit for his, like he has his scholarship that he, has put together. And like he tries his damnedest to be a positive role model, for young people to look up to. And like I said, I just think overall that dude has all the qualities of a superstar, but I do love whooping his ass at the same time. So I mean, shit, I'm always down to fight PB Smooth. Like I said, though, I only think it's fair. We're 1-1, and I think bragging rights have to ensue at some point. So who knows? It might be a pipeline. I could see it.
There you have it. Now, sort of piggybacking on the 2 questions ago, Justin Stein would like to know, if you could tag team with anyone, who would it be? And might as well extend the living or dead stipulation to that question as well.
If I could tag team with anybody, damn. That's tough. Because like I almost want to say Brody as my tag partner too, as for someone who's dead, because like that's just somebody who I've looked up to so much. Like, and I didn't really have such an appreciation for him until I actually got involved in wrestling. Like I started I grew up in the Attitude Era and like the Monday Night Wars and stuff like that. So that was really the era of time that I had knowledge of growing up. But then when I got into wrestling, I wanted to know more about the history and what came before all that. So that's when I really grew into such an appreciation for Brody. So I would say either him or Razor Ramon is my tag partner, because Razor's my favorite wrestler of all time. And I don't know. Living. I'd like to do a tag team with my old pal Zicky Dice at some point. I think that'd be fun. I think that could be like a really fun like buddy cop movie type tag team, because we're so polar opposite as far as personalities go.
All right, crew. Serious question. Once again from Dom, whom we all know to be a fast food connoisseur of sorts.
Yeah.
Crew, you're on the road. Food options can be rather limited. What's your go-to fast food place and what do you order?
So I don't believe for a second that Dom is a fast food connoisseur. I'm kidding.
Oh.
Of course I believe that. But I would say
Heel crew.
I would say my favorite go-to is probably the good old Taco Bell. And my go-to order is as much as I can physically get for as cheap as humanly possible. So, I mean, I'll eat anything on the menu at Taco Bell. Just I'm very thrifty when it comes to eating on the road, so I try to get as much bang for my buck as I can.
Yeah, and if you think about it, restaurants like Taco Bell in that restaurant group, they have 5 ingredients that they just reuse for everything.
Oh, 100%. They just
the same thing.
They get really creative with those 5 ingredients.
It's like the same 5 things with 2 seasonal ingredients rotating, and they just find like different boxes to put shit in, so that you're like, that's a new thing. Yes.
Or a different shell or something. Yeah, but like, I'll tell you what's bullshit is that they got rid of breakfast.
Did they?
Taco Bell's breakfast slaps, and I'm so mad that they got rid of it.
Important questions from important people. Thank you again, Dom. Moving on, Laserbones McGraw would like to know, or rather states in the form of a question. We got a lot of weird questiony statements. Lord Crewe is obviously no stranger to exploring the space in a match and get a little off the wall with the offense. Pardon the pun. Maybe a Michael Jackson pun, I'm not sure. What does he think would be the most fun type of place to wrestle in that isn't a traditional wrestling sort of venue?
That's a really interesting question. Okay, I'm gonna say think every 80s like either horror movie or like action movie. You know how there's always that scene in like a junkyard where there's like the crushed cars stacked up and all that bullshit, like in barrels with fire in it and stuff. I think that would be a sick spot to do like a wrestling.
You know that's a thing in Mexico, right? Arrow Boy's their champion.
Well, what the fuck?
Dude, I know. But
right.
I'm gonna send you some links.
Please do. I'm again, you've just awoken me to a whole new world. Derek, we need to talk more because I feel like I'm just stupid now that I'm talking to you.
I'm pretty sure Arrow Boy just won their belt, man. Like it's called Zona 23. Like,
I've heard of that.
Justice went down there and did a tour, man. He jumped off a stack of fucking cars onto a dude on another car.
Of course.
Yeah, man.
If there's something above like 6 foot, Justice is gonna jump off of it.
Hell yeah. They get down, man. Zona 23 is crazy shit. Actually, think Alex and a couple of GCW guys are going down there this summer.
Dude, that's sick. I'm gonna have to like check that out. I'm actually going to like pull that up right now so I don't forget to watch it when we're done here.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah, he actually, okay, so I pulled up on YouTube Zona 23 and the first person I see is Matt Justice. He has like skewers in his head. It's like the first thing you see when you pull it up.
Hell yeah.
God, that's sick. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna fall into a rabbit hole later for sure.
Yeah, I would say the environment over there looks super sterile, so maybe bring some hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, like I don't think you would ever get an infection there.
No.
JLW the Jobber also asks, what match of yours are you most proud of? Or what matches of yours would you suggest for someone to watch to get the full Lord Crewe experience?
So there's a few that like I'm pretty proud of for different reasons. One of them is actually the Falls Count Anywhere with Casanova match. That match was so fun to me. I kind of really stepped outside of my comfort zone on a few things in that match, and I think that's kind of what made it so special to me. And I think that gives a really good look at some of my versatility. Another match that I really, really enjoyed, weirdly enough, was my first ever death match with AJ Gray down at No Peace. That was really one of those things where I've never done anything like that. Like about as crazy as I've gotten is like, barbed wire like once or twice. But this was like baptism by fire, like as far as the deathmatch world goes. And I really enjoyed that one. Mine and PB Smooth's first match, I really enjoyed that. And I think what made that one so much more special to me was it being in Columbus with the unsanctioned regulars. Just the crowd energy in that was incredible. And that, like, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on Unsanctioned's podcast on their Patreon right now, but the crowd there is just so fucking awesome. And it's like, there's really, at least for me anyways, there's no other crowd like that I get to wrestle in front of. Like, I feel at home there. You know what I mean? Like, that crowd makes me feel important, makes me feel like they're really digging what I'm doing. And like, I think that's part of what makes that particular match with PB so special. Because I could say like, we wrestled at the Collective in Florida, on Mania weekend. Like, yeah, that was great. But like, it still wasn't as special to me as the first time around when we got to do it in front of the home fans.
Hell yeah, man. And like that venue and that crowd, like we have that same crowd now, right? Like we've got our core fam that's still coming to everything. And this Patreon is for the people that are supporting us. Like there's a lot of the day ones. It's a lot of the people that have been ride or die with us since the early days. And it's just like an energy that I don't think could ever be matched. Like if I ever get the opportunity to try and like run a one-off show in that building again, I don't care what the fucking circumstances are. It can be 100 degrees in there. Like I want to pack that place out again because it was wild. He said, I don't know about the heat, but
oh, and another one too, man. That Connor Claxton match from the Hardcore Cup, I really enjoyed that too. Like that was a lot of fun. And then actually one more that I'm real proud of is actually, okay, I'll say a couple more. Me and Austin Mannix at Rockstar Pro, we did a best of 7 series where each match had a different stipulation. And kind of as the series progressed, the matches became more violent and, kind of the intensity was increased throughout the entire series. And I think as far as being able to show the full experience of what I have to offer, that best of 7 series for sure shows the entire range, because there's a match where we couldn't throw strikes, and Mannix and I are both very heavy strikers, and it caused me to have to step outside of the comfort zone and think outside the box and kind of switch up my entire offense. And then at the very end, we're in a dog collar street fight, like anything goes type shit. So, we're both bleeding buckets and going all over the venue. And then the last one that I'm going to mention is also from Rockstar Pro. It was at one of the Halloween events. It was me and Aaron Williams in a First Blood match, which I really enjoyed that. And part of the reason why that match is so special to me is because my grandmother, she was, super old when I started wrestling, so she never got a chance to really get to a show to see me. But I showed her that match on like the Rockstar Network, and I have some videos in my phone of her reacting to the match, and like,
yeah, man.
So those are super special to me because, like, she got to share that with me, and
I've seen you share that clip on Facebook, man. That's like super wholesome stuff, and
dude, it's super wholesome.
And I love the fact that with technology you're able to like have that footage of her reacting to it. That's so fucking sick.
Yeah, for sure, man. And like I said, she never got to see me actually wrestle in person, but like the fact that I got to like share that with her and like see her react and really get into it, man, that was super cool.
Our final question from Dom, aka Young Custodian, aka Please Stop Hitting Me at Shows, Lord Crewe, even though I asked you to hit me, aka Fast Food Aficionado. Dom would like to know, who is on your wrestling Mount Rushmore? I believe you already stated Bruiser Brody.
So he's actually my rotating fourth. So my Mount Rushmore is Razor Ramon, Macho Man Randy Savage, Undertaker, and then I have a rotating fourth, which includes Bruiser Brody, Ric Flair, and HBK.
Okay, cool.
And then also Eddie Guerrero's kind of one of the wild cards too. Like, and he's another one who I've always liked growing up, but I didn't really appreciate him until I myself became a wrestler and rewatched some of the stuff and saw how good he really was,
All right. We'd like to thank everyone for joining our Patreon and sending in questions. Keep sending them in. This has been really fun. Our final question of this segment comes to us from Will Weapon X. Again, check out his Twitch stream. Will would like to know, and I think Derek, you're going to need to pay attention to this one. I respect you, Booker Man. Who do you think should debut at Unsanctioned that hasn't yet?
Yeah, that's kind of putting me on the spot, right? That's cool though. Speak freely, dude. I'm curious what the answer is.
Guys who I would like to see at Unsanctioned who have never been there. I gotta put him over to the end of the earth because he's one of my best friends, and I think he's a fucking star. Is Zicky Dice? He's a former NWA television champion. dude busts his ass to try to, create things that others aren't. And, I think he has a very unique, fun character that can really connect with a crowd. And I think he would be super, super over with the Unsanctioned fans. And then another guy, Damian Chambers. He's a Columbus boy. He was trained at the Believe Pro Wrestling Academy under like Ace Austin and like Zachary Wentz or WWE's Nash Carter. He's really starting to take off and come into his own. And I think, just recently he's done some stuff with AAW. He's been trying to, get out and about and make a little name for himself. And he's another one who I think would fit in just great with the Unsanctioned roster.
You can go to unsanctionedpro.com, and we've got links for all of our social media, web stores, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, there's the link for our Patreon. We've got tiers as low as $3 all the way up to $15. You can get some cool extras. We've got engraved metal VIP cards that we send out to $10 and $15 tier members. Also, we invested in a Polaroid camera and a fuckload of film. So we're going to be taking a bunch of Polaroids at the upcoming show that are going to be like one-of-one autographed Polaroids of wrestlers. So if you've been subscribed to the Patreon for a few months, you're probably going to receive an envelope with a couple of autographed Polaroids in it here soon. Crewe, do you have any merch, anything like that? Social media you want to plug?
Yeah, man. So go and give me a follow if you're not already on Twitter and Instagram at Lord Crewe Kills. And you can head on over to prowrestlingtees.com/Lord Crewe and have a couple shirt designs up there. Gonna be probably adding some more here in the very near future. So keep an eye on that. And on Facebook, you can just search and find me under Lord Crewe.
Scott, hit him with the fucking closing plug. Make sure we talk about that live stream there.
Oh, you can find Unsanctioned at Unsanctioned Pro on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, Unsanctioned Pro. We are live on IWTV June 18th as part of the Triple Threat Supershow with OWA and Paradigm Pro Wrestling. That all starts at 7 p.m. Friday, June 18th. You can find me on Twitter at SCCerini. You can find myself and Unsanctioned Pro at deathmatchworldwide.com. Shirt designs there that will only be available there. And yeah, I believe that is everything, correct?
Real quick, just want to hit our sponsors. Thanks again to Will, Weapon X, twitch.tv/W34PONX. Shout out to AppalachianNoiseRecords.com and our dude Josh over there. They've been helping out with us since the pandemic started. Really cool guys. If you're into metal music, collect vinyl, anything like that, go check them out. Sure. Also, Lauren over at Your Dose of Death podcast. Really cool guy. Real informative podcast. Has fun interviews. And also Simon Baby Cat Soap Company. If you purchased our Hardcore Cup Margarita Lime soap or any of the soaps that JonesyCollects.com has been selling, for the last 6 months or so, they make quality stuff. Head over to her Etsy store, pick up some soap, stuff like that. Besides that, I think that's everything.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Catch y'all later.
Thanks again,
Insert
guys.
music here.